Then, welcome everyone. This is Breaking Barriers, and it's a real conversation about women, confidence, and career change. I'm the host for today, and I'm Daniele Brunetto. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a career coach from Italy, but I live in Brussels. But today, the spot will be on Anna Ciszlowska. I hope I said it correctly,
Yeah.
who is also a career change coach and mentor. And we will focus on talking about the real challenges and the real solutions that we can find for women who are experiencing either layoff or a career change in their life. So, welcome everybody, and let's just start. Anna, how are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm really looking forward to it. I think, this topic is such an important one because, probably most of us have experienced a layoff or a career change or uncertainty in their career, either before or even right now. So I think it's a subject close to hearts of many.
Absolutely, yes. But tell us a bit more about yourself and what led you to support mid career women in career change.
It's a very good question. I think the simplest answer to it would be that I've been there myself. I found myself questioning my career, all of my career choices, by the way. I was questioning whether I was doing the right thing or not. I was really lacking confidence, and I just found myself burning out in a job that I didn't even like.
Hmm.
Despite of my bachelor degree and my master's degree, and I said, look, I can't continue like this.
Hmm.
So I actually began to work with a career coach myself
Yeah.
at the time, a couple of years ago, and that's how I ended up in a local development company.
Hmm.
So that's where I've learned about the struggles that women face,
Mm-hmm.
when they're in their careers for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And what happens is it's not only the experience that you've built, but
Mm-hmm.
the self silencing along those years,
Yeah.
they also lack confidence. And, a lot of them would be struggling with setting career direction and just struggling with identifying what the hell am I doing? What do
Yes.
I really want to stick to it for another 5, 10 years? So that's the common topic I've seen in that local development company that I worked at. I said, do you know what? I'm going to do career coaching for women to help them solve that problem, and it's not only about CVs or positioning. Yes, it's important. Like we all know that, that you're a career coach yourself,
Yeah.
but it's the things that are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's the confidence, it's the permission that a lot of us are seeking from a lot of different sources and late night Google scrolling. We've all been there.
Oh yes, I know.
So it's all about just getting that clarity really to follow what we're meant to do, and rather than what we've been doing so far. I think that's the most common mistake that people make, that they are looking for jobs that they've been doing so far, even though they feel miserable at them, versus looking at it, what do we actually want to do, what energizes us, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I think that's something that is a common, let's say, challenge for all of us. But we will focus a lot on women and some of the specific challenges that they face. So before we continue, I'll ask again our public just to mute themselves so that we don't have, for the moment, some interruptions. We'll take all the questions at the end. But I think that then you mentioned them a little bit yourself already. But in your experience, what are these emotional or psychological barriers that women face when they consider a career change or when they are stuck in mid career level in their life?
Where do I start, Daniela?
I mean, we have only half an hour, so let's say a couple of them for now.
I'd say, the most important one, half of my clients are really struggling with the career clarity and
Mhm.
setting a clear career direction, and that really stops us in an overthinking at paralysis, that we don't take
No,
any
yes.
action. We just overthink and overthink what we should do. Another thing I see, that's blocking people is, that identity attachment. to the roles that we've worked so hard for, the education that we've gained in a certain area, and it's
Mm.
so hard to let go of it.
Yeah.
Many of us might know it as a sunk cost effect. That
Yes.
we're just struggling to let go of things that we've invested so much into. A lot of people that would come to me wouldn't take any action also due to a lack of knowledge about transferable skills, and whether, thinking, how can I do something different because I've been doing that for the past 15 years. Surely that's all I know. I don't have technical knowledge in
Mm.
anything else. And this is the imposter syndrome
Yes.
that we experience, that we think, oh, I wouldn't be good at anything else. That's all I know. That's safe. And that's basically our brain protecting ourselves from the uncomfortable, from questioning. So I think these are the most common ones that I see among, especially, women mid-career.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's something that is I've seen also myself when I did my own career change. Then I thought, okay, what are the skills that I have? I've been doing something completely different before becoming a career change coach, and then I realized, okay, that I have to check again what are my skills, what are the transferable ones, and this is something that, as you said, you do very easily with a career coach. So sometimes alone it's a little bit difficult, right? But there are some differences as well, like for example, what I experienced or some women might experience in terms of something that we always call a little bit a gender confidence gap. So there's this, the sunk cost fallacy, but also the fact that some women might think that they're not as qualified, for example, to apply to either a job or a completely different career, for example. Why does that happen? What's happening there?
You see, they're simply very subtle things that we experience, but they're impacting, our lives, our
Mm.
well-being, and our careers on a very, very deep level. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, when we see people applying for jobs, and it's been shown in research that, when men apply for jobs, they apply for jobs when they're qualified, 60-70% in, where versus women, we tend to apply only when we're almost 100%
Yeah,
qualified. We're not missing any skills, we're not missing any qualifications.
yeah.
But you know what? Whoever applies and is considered a good fit candidate will get a job. And it tends to be, of course, both men and women, but only those who apply. So I see it very often that women don't give themselves a chance to actually go for something that I actually want to do.
Yeah.
That's when it comes to job search and actual applications. But then we might see it in interviews, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of women, and again, I don't think it's only considered to be a women problem, it could be men also,
Mm.
when we speak about our achievements and we really downplay them,
Yeah.
and we say, instead of, let's say, I've led, I've managed,
Mm-hmm.
I've gathered, what we tend to say is, I've supported,
Mm-hmm.
I worked along with,
Yeah.
and these subtle changes in our words, they're not very loud, but they do make a difference when we're talking
Oh
about our
yes.
own achievements, because we are not we're not embracing the value we create. Like, somebody who's interviewing us is not interviewing our last company or our team, they're interviewing us,
Yeah.
so they want to understand what we bring to the table.
Absolutely. Yeah, the change of wording is so key. I realize so many times, not only myself, but also my clients, you change just one word or just one verb. Even the most, let's say, the simple one is, I made a mistake, instead of saying, I'm wrong. And that's something that already changes a lot. And then when you get an interview, if you say, I support instead of I led, that changes everything as well. So I've seen that it's very powerful in that sense. But what are the other unique pressures that women feel during layoff or career change compared to men, in your opinion?
I'd say there's two types of pressures. There's the physical ones and there's the emotional ones.
Mm-hmm.
The physical ones would be, of course, the money, the time, the
Yeah.
logistics, the whole lot of it. And just let me be clear: career change is not only bound to be hard for women. It's,
Yeah.
or a layoff is not only hard for women. But what is different for women is that emotional burden, where
Mm-hmm.
we kind of tend to think, Jesus Christ, who's going to hire me now at this age?
Mm-hmm.
Will they think I'm going to, plan to have children soon, and then if we prioritize, the caregiving role and maybe not our career so much, then we feel a bit judged, or maybe we're not judged, maybe we just feel that way. So
Mm.
there's those emotional burdens, but also the physical ones. And I really strive to kind of say to people that we really try to separate our self-worth
Mm-hmm.
with our performance, because look, with my clients, I see it every single day. Like, they've been laid off and they keep questioning, oh, I should have seen this coming,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
maybe it's about my performance, when in reality, most likely it's poor business decisions, or it's the economic uncertainty. It's nothing to do about yourself, but then it's about yourself, how you react to it.
Totally.
So I'd say it's better to navigate the internal conversations that we have in our heads first, and then base those on the current reality.
Absolutely. And that's a challenge that I see as well in some of my women clients, and it's something really difficult to work with and work on in our journey in a way. But then once you manage to just sort of tackle it, then opens so many doors. So it's actually unbelievable what happens. So for those women who feel stuck in this situation and have no clarity, for example, on what to do next, where do you start? What do you suggest?
I would say a lot of women or men, would question themselves. Okay, so like, what do I want to do now?
Mm.
Like, what is the job title that I apply for? Like, I go to jobs.ie. What do I type in? And I think that's the wrong type of question. We need to first declutter the mind and ask ourselves, what is it that we no longer want? What
Mm.
is it that no longer serves us? Because sometimes when we don't know what we do want,
Yeah.
the clarity comes from knowing what we don't want in the first place, and
Yeah.
then that's when we're becoming more clear on the next steps. A second thing, a very important one, and I think, working with my clients, it's been very, very prevalent that a lot of my clients would be kind of thinking, okay, but like, I need to do this, or I'm expected to do that.
Mm.
Okay, stop for a moment
Yeah.
and ask yourself, whose expectation is it? you know is it
Yes.
your expectation? Is it the expectation of your past self who invested so much time or energy?
Yeah.
Is it your current thinking, or is it your partner, friends, family, relatives?
As well.
Because it's so important to distinguish those expectations, because at the end of the day, it's you doing the workday, you
Yeah.
coming back from work, feeling the way you feel, either
Totally.
energized or drained, you know, and it's so important to reconnect with yourself. And what I mean by that is, look into your values, like what drives
Mm-hmm.
you, what is work for you, both in life and a career. What are your natural strengths? And then try to map out the transferable skills
Yeah.
that you've gained, across a couple of last years, based on what you actually like doing. Like, I have
Mm.
an example of myself
Yeah.
when I was applying for a role, and I remember to this day, I used to do coding on a computer,
Mm-hmm.
in my during my masters, and I put it on my CV just because it looked practical, it looked good, and
Mm-hmm.
it probably would give me a nice job. Did I like it? Absolutely not. Why the hell did I put it on my CV? So there is a difference between what we can do and what we
Sure.
actually would like to continue doing. So that is a big
Yeah.
question mark. I would ask anybody that's on crossroads to ask themselves what it is that they want to continue on with.
Yes, absolutely, and it's very powerful. A lot of times, even us, we've forgotten how the things that we can do are not necessarily all the things that we want to do, and even if we don't have enough skills on the things that we want to do, we can still learn. So we can still
Mhm.
go on, right? So how do you help then women to identify those transferable skills, especially when they've believed that actually they're not transferable in a way?
The thing with the skills is, I find, when we talk about skills, we think about the technical skills, the
Mm.
things
Yeah.
that, we've learned along the way. But I would kind of go back a step and say, okay, what comes to me naturally? What
Mm.
are the things that make me forget about time? What are
Yes.
the things that when I'm doing them, I'm fully on it,
Yeah.
so energized? What are the things? Because most likely those natural, as I call them, energizers, are most likely the things that you are also good at. And these are skills too.
Absolutely.
So I would start from this.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would also look into your, of course, transferable skills that you've learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so either in your previous employment, but also if you've been on a career break and say, what has this experience taught you? Because just because you've been out of work for some time doesn't mean your skills expired
Yeah.
or disappeared entirely, and that's
Totally.
another topic, I'd say. But then I would finally focus on the context specific skills. So based
Yeah.
on the things that you know, what energizes you and what you actually enjoy doing, then looking back at your previous achievements, you can identify the things that could be related to one area or the other. And that's really the starting point to really kind of connect the dots. But you
Mm-hmm.
can do it over, an hour. Like that needs a bit of reflection
Time.
and
Yeah.
practice. And I find that, people only reach out for support when they're at a breaking point, and I think that's a
Yeah.
common thing for a lot of people that
Yeah.
unless you are burned out, you will not ask anybody for help because we think that this is my career and I should know what's going on,
Yeah.
what the hell I'm doing. And in reality, 80% of people just pretend they know
Yeah.
what they're doing. So if there is anybody kind
Well,
of
yes.
questioning themselves right now, I just say just talk to somebody, either
Yeah.
a mentor, a coach, a recruiter, even, try to build your connections and try to gain that extra bit of perspective too.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you were talking, I actually remember one of my ex clients who mentioned the fact that during her maternity leave, she actually learned even more skills. For example, the
Yeah.
multitasking, and she was like, "I can do three, four things at the same time because I had those months off when I had to juggle so many things at the same time. So I can just put it in my CV right now." So that was even very, very powerful as well. What on the other side, then, women often get wrong then in when approaching a career change. What should they do instead?
Good question. I would say a lot of people or a lot of my clients that come to me, they're at a point where they might have applied for some jobs, and they might be maybe not hearing back anything. They might be getting rejected, or maybe they still don't feel quite comfortable, in their current job, and they just keep mass applying for jobs,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that it will stick, it will be the one, maybe that somewhere else will be different, without even questioning whether it's the type of the role that's draining me.
Yeah.
Is it the organization? So is it actually the work culture? Is it my management? Or is it entirely different sector or industry that I want to be in?
True.
So the mass applying literally ends up either in rejections or ending up in another role in which we're not fulfilled anyway, right? So what I would say is, again, going back to my energizers, going back
Yeah.
to what is draining me, and think about what kind of support, what kind of environment brings out my best, because
Mm.
if you have those things listed, it's so much easier to navigate the uncertainty. Either layoff, career
True.
change, doesn't matter. Or maybe you don't want to change careers, maybe you're just
Yeah.
not confident to or make any decision related to your role. Maybe there is a promotion just hanging up there at the board for the last 2 weeks and you're not quite sure whether you're the
Mm.
right fit or not. So I wouldn't go after the shiny titles or
Yeah.
something that looks
Yeah.
fancy. I would look into the daily. Would the daily jobs or
Mm.
responsibilities match with what I'm looking for? Does it match the lifestyle that I want to live? And one of my
Especially.
previous clients there, she used to be, she was in a senior quality manager position
Mm-hmm.
last 10 years or something,
Okay.
and she kept just going up and up and up the ladder, and then she, came up to me and said, Anna, I don't even know if that's what I want to do.
Whoa.
And I said,
Yeah.
look, don't panic. You don't have to make a decision now. You don't even have to know the direction. It's just to get started on the active, thoughtful process rather than
Exactly.
jumping straight into applications. Because surely that won't work. Anything that is a quick fix rarely works.
No. Yeah. Totally agree with you. So then, to give some takeaways for our public, then to go back home with some micro habits. What do you think that are simple but powerful micro habits that then people can just apply, even just today or tomorrow, in order to build confidence for a career change?
I'd say definitely trying to, track your successes, no matter how small or big, whether that's an extra insight, conversation, maybe an interview, maybe a feedback from your interview. Try to track your successes and make sure that you do acknowledge them, because the more you look out for them, the more
Mm-hmm.
opportunities you'll see. And another thing is, of course, don't wait for a perfect time.
Yeah.
Do not wait to have a perfect CV or something like that, because it doesn't exist. Try to stick with it 20% um, perfect rather than,
Yeah.
100% perfect, because it'll never be perfect.
Yeah.
So also, whenever you're asking yourself, okay, what should I do? If you have a rough idea where you'd like to go, ask yourself, would the future version of myself be proud of this action? Would that help me,
Yeah.
or would that restrain me? So I think these three things are very, very helpful when it comes to kind of any kind of movement within
Mm-hmm.
a career. And if you struggle, let's say with interviews or questions, what I would say is try to talk to your relative or partner, I don't care, someone that you trust,
Yeah.
openly, out loud about your achievements. Start using the words that you should be using. So then
Mm.
it becomes second nature. So then when you're actually trying to impress someone or talking to someone who you don't even know, it just becomes easier. And
Oh yeah.
with practice, it's just so, so much easier. Than, yeah, like I'd say, that's just what worked with my clients and with myself even. So they're the golden rules that I would say I would follow.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's super useful. I've seen as well the impact that these things can have. So it's amazing. Thanks. For those, I mean, we don't have a lot of time, and I want to see if we have some questions. But for those who would like to go further, then, if someone is ready to work with you already, where can they find you?
I'd say, you can always book a free kind of career conversation with me. I do
Mm-hmm.
offer the 30 minutes video call to talk through your career goals or struggles or challenges, just to see and pinpoint, okay, where are you going next?
Yeah.
Just to give that bit of extra confidence and that clarity that many people might be lacking at the moment. So what I might do actually, I might just put the link into my calendar into the chat. So
Perfect.
if
Yeah.
there's anybody interested into booking a conversation with me, they can do so right now. And just let me know if you can see that into the chat.
Yes. Yeah, I can see, and I see as well Maria just writing in the chat, so I think everybody can see it. So,
That's
uh,
perfect. And look,
perfect.
if you're on crossroads, why not give it a try? I mean,
Yeah.
it's January. Who
Isn't it
hasn't
exactly?
set their goals?
I mean, it doesn't cost anything to try, and then maybe something can change in 2026 that then you will look back next January and see, like, oh, actually, that call, that event actually changed the course of my life, and at least for a year. Let's see. So, and I
Yeah.
can vouch for that. I mean, definitely for my experience, but also knowing Anna, I can definitely tell you all that she's great. And you will see, even in just 30 minutes of just a little chat, you'll gain so much clarity. So that's something that definitely I suggest everyone here, and also everyone who's actually listening or watching this as a replay, because we're recording this. I would
Yeah.
like to see if there's any question maybe in the chat, or someone who would like to ask Anna a question. I mean, not to me, because I haven't said anything particularly interesting today. But if there's any question for Anna, or if you have any doubt or suggestion or comment or anything, thanks, Niem, for coming, by the way. And anyone?
Thank you, Neve, and thank you, Maria.
Otherwise, I
See
remember there's
you
one
again.
thing that you mentioned, and that reminded me of one sentence that I can maybe just leave everyone with. It was one of the sentences that stuck with me for many years and still is. It's, if your mind is closed to the possibility, your eyes will not see the opportunity. And that's something that probably will help us to see that sometimes just a little mind shift, mindset change, let's say, can help us to see opportunities when we think we thought actually there were none. And then we just start looking at them, not because we create them just with our thoughts, but just because we train our mind to look for them somewhere, and then we'll find them in the end.
Preach. Such smart words. Danielle. Yeah, but 100% agree. Yeah.
All right. So if no one else has any question or something, then I will actually say thank you so much for everyone for coming, and thank you, Anna, as well, for sharing all your stories. At the same time, I will invite you all as well for next week. We're gonna have a similar conversation, but inverted roles. So I will be talking about what challenges men specifically face during career change, and some of the barriers that I've seen also in some of my clients. That, as Anna was saying, of course, many of the challenges are a bit transversal. Everybody has the same issues and challenges, but some things might be a little bit more specific, as we said today, for women, and some might be for men. So next week, same Thursday, same time, we'll have this inverted conversation. So I hope you will all be there, and even more people. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you again, Anna, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.